110% ready for that fight. But I think also he has the danger of losing in a lesser fight. So next week we'll make a decision. They're still both in play. But
He's going on what? He's going.
May 18th, yeah.
And where's that's still going to be
Chicago,
What
yeah. At the Wind Trust.
Where you have your first.
Yeah.
So that's going to go up against the Wilder fight. Looks like it seems. Unless he goes to the zone, but it seems like that.
But if it's on Showtime, then it'll be on pay-per-view. And if it's not on Showtime, it'll be on Dazn. So if it's on pay-per-view on Showtime, I've no problem going up against that fight. In fact, I think it would be a good statement for Dazn's campaign of saying no to pay-per-view for a fight like that, which I don't mind the fight, Wilder Brazil, but it just won't do good pay-per-view numbers.
But it'll be Usyk, probably not against Povetkin.
It might be.
If it's not Povetkin, it'll be
Takam, yeah, and it'll be a big card with Povetkin. Callum Smith will probably be on that card as well. So I don't mind going up against a small pay-per-view. It's not ideal, but we've got a lot of things to schedule now.
Hearn would be defending his title.
Yes.
And any opponent thoughts or just
No. I mean, we talked about actually doing the Mike Lee fight in Chicago, but he's fighting Caleb Plant, so it won't be him.
The elephant in the room, obviously, is Deontay Wilder, the golfer. Results. Can you tell us anything related to that?
Not only that, it's fantastic. I think we've got a brilliant chance of making the Joshua fight. The only way that deal was ever going to get made was doing it this way.
Which way? When you said
The John Skipper way.
meaning
Meaning that there's no relationship between me, Wilder, me, Shelley, me. Like, I've reached out a dozen times to make offers to just try.
you're making the point that you got to put Skipper on the phone with Wilder.
Yeah. He's got to be the one, in my opinion, that brokers the deal, because he's got two people to broker the deal with, not just Wilder, Joshua. So he's already proved through the Canelo signing and with me with the Golovkin signing that he's very good at doing that.
I know, he's my old boss.
Yeah, and I think he will get Wilder. I do. I think that he will put the deal together for Wilder to fight Joshua. I can see it.
But there'd be another fight first, obviously.
That's up to. I don't know. I mean, that would be up to
the
Wilder.
mandatory.
Yeah, but he doesn't. No, yeah, but I'm sorry. I thought you meant on the zone.
Okay.
So
That would be the second fight?
it could be anything. It could be the first. It could be what? No, it could be Brazil on the zone.
Followed
Joshua on the zone. It could be Brazil on Showtime. Joshua on the zone. So what I'm saying is that first fight, until they sit down and hash everything out, I don't know whether this is going to come straight on the zone, do the Joshua fight on the zone. There's loads of things that they might want to do, etc.
But it seems like Wilder's next fight, whether it's on the zone or Showtime, is going to be
Correct.
against Brazil.
Definitely.
Do you think that you're overlooking like a 315-pound heavyweight who could upset those
Yeah,
players?
no, I'm not overlooking him, but I think it's a tough fight. By the way, Brazil has a great shot against Wilder. He does.
Think so?
Yeah, because he's a big heavyweight that can punch. Watch him in the Izu Iganu fight. I mean, listen, Joshua battered him, but I think he's improved since then. That Iganu fight, he took so much, and Wilder can hurt him, but he's a big guy, and if he stands and starts trading leather, he's got as much chance in his fight as Jarrell Miller has against Joshua. They're like 4 or 5-1 shots, right?
Eddie, your main thing though is if you can work, if not you, but if John Skipper and Wilder can work things out, the schedule would be thus: Deontay Wilder versus Brazil in the mandatory whenever that happens this spring. Anthony Joshua against Jarrell Miller.
100%. Yeah.
And then
November, December.
they come and fight each other for the undisputed title.
Yeah.
Okay.
You didn't see this coming together quite this way, obviously, right? Like a month ago?
No, but I knew this was the way to do it. But it was just a case of getting in. But
You
by
go
that,
directly to the fighter who's not encumbered by a promoter.
basically. But it's like, I think Deontay's comments have led to this chain of events. Do you know what I mean? Like, by him coming out and saying, "I'm not with Showtime. I'm up for speaking to everybody. I've had offers from ESPN." John knows what he's doing, so he had to, make sure that the approach was there. He spoke to me before and said, what do you think about me? That, you know, I said, fucking go for it, mate. Because I started thinking, this is the way. Because me and Shelley's not going to get a deal done, and me and Wilder aren't going to get a deal done. So yeah, so he's got to be the one to go, right, what do you need, right? Okay, what do you need? Right, I'll sort that you're done, and right now I've got to do you, and then it's done. It could be that. I mean, it could be that quick, but
He's made a lot of deals bigger than this.
oh yeah, no, I have full confidence in him to make this fight, and you know the plan for Dazn unquestionably is, you know, obviously Canelo Jacobs May 4th, Joshua June 1, probably Wilder as well, Golovkin against the winner of Canelo Jacobs, Deontay Wilder against Joshua. You know, I mean, that's a hell of a schedule. All part of your subscription. None of those fights being extra pay-per-view. And that's their vision, their model. And if they get that, if they land that, so it's game over. But I mean, it puts them in a fantastic position in terms of subscribers.
Hey Eddie, do you think this Wilder's looking to meet with his own solely main objective is to sign the Joshua fight, or is it just for the betterment of his
Probably
career?
curiosity. I believe he wants the Wilder fight. I mean, he can't. He can't not want to be the undisputed champion. He does, but I guess curiosity. You know, the big problem is right now is Showtime can't compete with the money that ESPN and Dazn are paying, and the only way they can do it is with pay-per-view, but they can't even do that because the fights aren't big enough to generate the numbers. So someone's got to foot the deficit. So, because the numbers that ESPN and DAZN are paying aren't right either, but they're actually paying them. So when you say to Deontay Wilder, you guys, you know, he's offered you 12.5, he's offered you 15, Showtime, what are you offering me? And they'll say, oh, well, we'll do the Brazil fight on pay-per-view. That's not good enough. So I don't even think Showtime are in the mix well, they're definitely not in the mix for Wilder Joshua, but I don't think they're in the mix for Wilder. I mean, I saw his comments earlier, and he's basically said, I'm off, but I'm not saying it's forever, but we'll see. But I just don't think, and I think it's only a matter of time. I know Bob said it before. At what point is Showtime bosses going to turn around and go, this is ridiculous? Like, you know, I mean, you got Mikey Garcia in there. I don't know what the deal is there, but if that doesn't do significant numbers,
That's on Fox.
Yeah, I know. But what I'm saying is,
What it's going to do less than Wilder Fury.
yeah, but where's the money coming
Half
from?
that, yeah.
But where's the money coming from then? You know, those guys, all those PBC guys. It's like Charlo. You know, I spoke to him the other day. How long can you say, no, I've got this other plan, and there's guys making 3-4 times as much money?
Which Charlie, you're talking about the
You said
160.
Yeah, 160. Yeah.
Do you think that Wilder coming over to the zone opens the floodgates for, you know, opens the doors for the
I think
rest
the
of the
floodgates
fighters?
are already open with Canelo and then.
Well, I
Josh.
mean, as far as the PBC fighters, do you feel like
because
they'll
there's
get more comfortable?
curiosity, but too many of them just get talked out of things. You know, like if you're a free agent and you have the option and the ability to look at other offers, why wouldn't you do it?
And all of them do. Well, most of them anyway.
Yeah, but most of them then get talked into taking a third of the money on boxing once a year. You know, this is what I'm saying to Charlo. Like Charlo, we've got Golovkin, Canelo, Andrade, and Jacobs, and you'll be paid 3 times as much money that you're making at the moment, and you will fight all those guys. What the fuck are you waiting for?
Can you tell us
You
how
know,
that meeting
what
with
did he
Jamal
say?
went?
That wasn't a meeting; it was just a conversation.
Just a conversation.
Just.
What-
I mean, he said, "I'm speaking to Al,"
Did he
and
seem
Al.
receptive? I mean,
He said he trusts Al to make the right decision for him.
Do
And
you,
I said, Al works with Showtime and Fox. So what decision do you think he's going to make for you?
do you think it's in Dillian White's best interest to wait it out and see how this plays out with Deontay Wilder before making a decision?
No, listen, I spoke. Dylan's boxing on July the 13th in London. He's had a great offer from Top Rank. I think Dillian's idea is to probably be with ESPN in America and Sky in the UK. It doesn't really work that way, but I think, you know, he's told me he's boxing July the 13th. He's committed to Sky as well. O2 Arena. We're working on the opponent now, so
You're doing it or ESPN's doing it?
we're doing it.
So he's not going to go with Top Rank for the July fight.
I'm just telling. I mean, I don't. I mean,
He hasn't signed anything.
no,
with
it
you or
just,
with
no, he hasn't signed with them. No,
Or you?
but no, but he's
July.
told Sky
Okay.
he's boxing on that date. He's told me he's boxing on that date. It'll probably be on ESPN in America, by the way. But
Just because they buy the rights.
yeah, because how we do it on a pay-per-view is the fighter will own the control of the show. So effectively it'll be an open market as to where those
So your
US rights go.
pay-per-views in the UK are open to Matchroom to go on.
First,
DAZN
last
to
on
go
Dazn. Yeah, first, last, right. And as you saw with the December show, Dazn pretty much passed on
show was that?
White Chisora,
Gotcha.
and Showtime bought it.
Is Kell Brooks still in negotiations with Jesse Vargas, or that fight?
No, that fight's not happening next. Kell is probably going to box either on the Joshua card on June 1st or the Andrade card on June 15th.
Now is that
was
because
June 22,
Kell
June
didn't want to fight? Because I know Jesse has said that his part of the contract.
To be honest, Kell's probably going to see what happens with Amir Khan on April 20th.
Okay.
Because depending on how he does in that fight, that still may be an option.
He's still waiting.
47
June
and
15th instead of the
54,
22nd.
Both in play for Cal. Both 147 and 154.
He's open.
Okay.
June 15th. Good.
Okay, at Dunkin' Donuts.
At the moment, yeah. But I mean, we've got to talk about Golovkin's date as well.
No opponents though, for 100.
Probably the winner of Seleka Rosadi on Friday.
That's what I figured. Okay. And Vargas is fighting on the Danny
Vargas
Rivera,
is fighting Humberto Soto. Humberto Soto.
who had the win.
Who
over
just beat Rios, yeah.
That's going to be on the card April 26th.
So it'll be, I mean, I know there's Quigg and Sims and Gearsov, but it'll be a main triple header. Vargas, Soto, Roman against the Henny, and Rungsibai Estrada.
And any stakes in the Vargas fight, or just a 10-round?
No,
just do a
10
good
round
fight?
championship, Intercontinental.
Got it.
I mean, it'll be a catch weight, probably 150 or 151. And then I quite like the Liam Smith fight for Vargas after that, and I'd like him to fight Munguia.
Can Jesse get down to 47 or are those days over with?
He doesn't want to box at 47 anymore. I mean, he'd rather take this fight at 54, but Soto, I think it's a better fight at 50. I mean, you know, Soto made 147 decently for the Rios fight, so I don't really want him moving too much beyond that.
Now we know Deontay is fighting May 18th, and we know.
do we?
Well, if he's scheduled to fight May 18th.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
But if that is the
Who's
case,
schedule?
Deontay Wilder.
Who's schedule? Oh,
No, he's scheduled to fight
Is he?
May 18th. This is what he's saying, that he's still looking to fight Brazil May 18th, whether that be on DAZN or Showtime. We know Ugas, right?
Usyk's fighting May 18th, yeah.
Right. If he does come to DAZN, Deontay Wilder, could we see Usyk still fight on the undercard possibly?
no, he won't be an undercard fighter.
No.
No, Wilder would just have a different date.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Okay.
But there's a long way to go. I mean,
Usyk is clearly a tremendously skilled cruiserweight. I mean, skill second to none. How aggressive are you going to be with him at a heavyweight, and when are you looking to make him?
judging by what he's saying, very aggressively. I love it. I mean, I love the Povetkin fight, but I think for the first fight at heavyweight, I think it's a great fight, but it's very, very, you know, it's advanced, but this is what he wants to go. He wants to have 2 fights, then fight Joshua. When he will be the WBO mandatory, almost certainly, according to
You
their
can
rules.
call that whenever you want,
Exactly.
basically, right? Yeah.
So I see Joshua fighting Miller, then Wilder, and then the winner, you know, eventually, whether there's 1 or 2 fights, we'll see. But Usyk will be the mandatory for the winner of those fights.
What's the possibility we could see Dylan White fight Luis Ortiz July?
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting to see what the WBC are going to do. I think WBC, you know, I don't want to talk badly about Maurizio, but they've got a big problem because they've ordered Brazil to fight Dillian White in a final eliminator to become the mandatory. Part of Dillian White's decision process of turning down the Joshua fight was, I know I've got that fight to be the mandatory. Okay? So now, Fury's pulled out, so I understand the WBC say, you're now the mandatory, but you can't then just say to Dillian White, sorry mate, you now get nothing. You know, you've been mandated to fight an interim fight to be the mandatory
Their
challenger.
mistake was ordering the interim fight before Wilder Fury was signed.
Yes, but there's plenty of other mistakes, like how
That's
is
the big
Brazil
one.
even mandatory? Right, that's another story.
Okay.
Is he still or what?
Yeah, he is.
He
Well,
is.
what happened was, so Brazil was fighting Stavern. Right, this is the whole story. And Stavern was mandatory. So the WBC said, this fight is for the mandatory. Right, fair enough. Then Stavern pulled out and Molina come in. And then they said, this fight is still for the mandatory, but only for Molina. Sorry, only for Brazil. And Molina can't be mandatory. So he won, stayed at number 4. Meanwhile, Dylan's at number 1, wins the silver title, defends it 3 times, still at number 1, and they call Brazil as a mandatory. But that's old school news. The big problem now is they called Brazil white before they called Fury, Wilder, right?
Before it was signed.
Yes. So therefore now, Dillian has been told, you're in a final eliminator for the WBC World Title, the interim championship. I understand that Brazil now gets called as a mandatory to fight Wilder, but you can't now just turn around to Dillian and say, you now get nothing.
Or can they?
Well,
They can try.
I think, yeah, they can do basically within their rules, they can do whatever they want. But I'm sure Maurizio will, I'm talking to him about it, and listen, Dillian's majorly pissed off. Because right now, I'm not saying that was the only reason he turned down the Joshua fight, but he did look at his options and say, well, I've got that final eliminator. If I beat Brazil, I'm mandatory.
Right.
And now he's being told, sorry, you haven't even got a final. So going back to the Luis Ortiz question, they may order Luis Ortiz against Dillian White as a final eliminator, which is a very, very good fight.
Eddie, with Triple G now officially with Dazn, what are the chances of us seeing Andrade in Triple G?
Not next. I mean, Golovkin's opponent, I think, will be announced in the next sort of week. Andrade will fight. They may fight on the same bill, actually.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, depending. June 15 was originally Andrade's date, but we'll see what happens.
That would still possibly be in Providence?
No, I don't think so. Not if it was Triple G. Yeah, no. But again, we're talking earlier with Dazn about do we, put Andrade on the Golovkin bill and have the middleweight world championship as well, and then Andrade will fight probably the Selecki or Rosado winner,
Okay.
and then after that, it all depends, doesn't it? I mean, once Jacobs beats Canelo on May the 4th, maybe Golovkin will box Andrade.
Is there a rematch close in Jacobs and Canelo?
Yes.
Two-way?
No, I wish there was.
Eddie, how much of a role did you play in the Golovkin signing?
I'd like to think a great deal. Some people think nothing. I was at all the meetings. But I'm a partner with Dazn, so even the Canelo deal, I was at the meetings. I knew everything about it. The Golovkin deal, I was a lot closer to than I was to the Canelo deal.
Why, in your opinion, did it take so long?
It was one, because I think Gennady was making the decision on his own, and I think he wanted to get it right. Two, because it was a very not complicated but complex deal. Three, there was a lot of people who wanted him and were making repeatedly improved offers. But it did take a lot longer than expected. I mean, me and John first flew out, God knows.
October.
Yeah, October. And we flew to LA and we had our first meeting. And he said, I think he wanted to make a decision in the next couple of weeks. And then it was January. Yeah, January we flew again for another one. And then it was going to be a week, and it was this week. So I expect to be involved in the show in some capacity, working with Triple G Promotions, not promoting the show or not promoting Gennady, but working
Some of your
with
guys may be on the card.
Yeah,
They
and
don't
work.
have a stable.
No, they don't have a stable. But I think his plan is to build one.
But in the between point A and point
Yeah.
B, you got to put somebody on your shows.
Yeah.
You have a lot of guys. Okay.
Now,
Triple G's first fight. Are we looking at strictly a tune-up fight or a top 10 middleweight?
That's for him to decide. But knowing him, he's going to want someone credible. He's not going to want an easy fight. I think that Selecki was a guy that he was looking at as well. To be honest, that's that kind of level.
now let's say Deontay does sign to Dazn, and he fights Brazil on Dazn. Then he fights. Comes to an agreement with Joshua. Pretty sure it'll be 2 fights. Where does that leave Dillian White? Because now he'll be sitting out at least 3 fights.
Yeah, I mean, just
SOL, we say. Shit out of luck.
I think what he's got to do is try and get himself in a mandatory position now. There's still another belt, the WBA regular. What's happening with that one? Zequendo still fighting?
He's out. That's
What
not the
about
resolution.
the gold?
The gold? No, not
That's
the gold.
it.
But we would.
Super
No,
We
the
would-
WBA, the WBA
yeah.
ordered Brian against.
Yeah, against.
Char.
Yeah, I wouldn't be against Char against White, to be honest with you. In the mean, I was going to say in the interim, but that's probably the wrong.
What about White versus Usyk?
It's a great fight. Dillian's just got. Obviously he turned down the Joshua fight. We all know. He didn't feel it was the right offer, so he's got a plot the next move very carefully. And like I said, he's had a big offer from Top Ring. You know, so but I don't. Dillion's not just solely about the money. You know, although he turned down the money for the AJ fight, I think he wants to know who am I going to fight, and I think a lot of the people that he's been told that he could fight, he's not overly interested in. So he quite likes the Povetkin fight. You know, I think the Ortiz fight is a great fight. They all carry a huge amount of risks for a lot less money than the Joshua offer.
Yeah, Ortiz said that he's willing to sign, any amount of money to fight one of the contenders. This is what Ortiz said.
Yeah, I spoke to his people yesterday. I think he may end up on Dazn as well, or ESPN.
For May 4th, a fight like Kell Brook versus Sanam Ali, is that something realistically?
Yeah, he won't.